Breaking news out of Atlanta, folks. There are rumors flying that the Falcons might be cooking up a blockbuster trade on draft night. We're talking about a move to grab a future star pass rusher who could anchor their defense for years to come. In this video, we're diving into who this player is, what the trade could look like, and whether or not it actually makes sense. Let's start with a tweet from Jay Ben, a guy who's been pretty locked in when it comes to Falcons intel. He tweeted, "I'm told the Falcons have reached out to the Jets to swap picks, 7 for 15, with their eyes on Jaylen Walker." According to the report, Atlanta wants to make a splash. They know the Saints and Panthers also need pass rush help, and they're trying to beat both of them to the punch by grabbing Walker early. And if this deal goes down, it'll likely happen on draft night, and it might even cost Atlanta their 2026 first-round pick. Now, let's talk about Jaylen Walker. The Falcons targeting him actually makes a ton of sense. Last season, this dude was a baller, racking up 6.5 sacks while playing both edge and linebacker for the Georgia Bulldogs. He's a playmaker and a leader. Whether it was calling plays or making them, Walker's name got mentioned a lot on Saturdays. He's only 6 feet 1 inch, which some might consider a bit small, but don't get it twisted. This guy is explosive and versatile. He's what they call a tweener, someone who can play off-ball linebacker and rush off the edge. That flexibility is huge for Atlanta. Not only does he help the pass rush, but he also upgrades their athleticism at linebacker. You've already got Divine Diablo and Troy Anderson in the building. Now throw in Jaylen Walker, and suddenly this defense looks a whole lot faster and more dangerous.
This is exactly why the Falcons are so interested in Jaylen Walker, especially if they're thinking about going back to a 3-4 defensive look. Walker fits that mold perfectly. He's a strong stand-up edge rusher who can thrive in that system. Now, going back to the tweet for a second, it also mentioned Micah Parsons is no longer an option. And let's be real, that tracks. Parsons recently said he's looking for around $40 million a year, which is insane money, even for someone as elite as him. On top of that, the Cowboys aren't in any hurry to move him. Worst case for Dallas, they just slap the franchise tag on him next year and buy themselves some time. So yeah, Parsons is off the board. That leaves the Falcons looking for a splash, and they believe Jaylen Walker is that guy. But to get him, they'll have to move up to pick number 7. Why? Because right behind that, at picks 8 and 9, are 2 NFC South rivals, the Panthers and Saints, and both of them need help rushing the passer. The Falcons are trying to leapfrog both of those teams to grab Walker before he's gone. And honestly, that's a smart move. It gives more credibility to the report that Atlanta has reached out to the Jets to try and trade up to that 7th pick. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Let's talk about the Panthers' interest in Jaylen Walker. There's a quote from Carolina's head coach Dave Canales that says a lot. He said, "Every single Georgia Bulldog we talk to, they all mention Jaylen Walker. They talk about his accountability, how he brings the group together, and how he plays like his hair's on fire. There's just something special about him." That's huge praise from a division rival's head coach. The fact that Canales is publicly saying that tells me the Panthers are very high on Walker. If he's still on the board at 8, I don't think they hesitate. All of this lines up with the Falcons' urgency to trade up. They know if they stay put at 15, Walker will be long gone. But here's the catch. As mentioned in that original tweet, it could cost Atlanta their 2026 first-round pick to pull this off. So the big question now is that price worth it? Well, here's what I think.
Honestly, I think this move makes a lot of sense for the Falcons. They've spent years putting Band-Aids on the pass rush, patching things up with short-term fixes that never truly solve the problem. Now, it finally looks like they've found a guy they believe in. And not just any guy. They think Jaylen Walker is the best edge rusher in this draft who's actually within reach. We've already seen this kind of bold thinking pay off with Michael Penix last year. The Falcons took a shot on their quarterback of the future, and so far, that move looks like the right one. If the front office feels the same way about Jaylen Walker, then I'm 100% on board. Yes, giving up a future first-round pick is a big deal, but if Walker turns into not just a productive edge rusher, but a true leader on defense, then it's worth it. He's the kind of guy who can give you sacks, play solid linebacker, and bring the type of intangibles this team desperately needs, especially with veteran leaders like Grady Jarrett no longer around. And here's another angle. If the Falcons do end up giving away next year's first rounder, they'll have more cap space available soon, especially when Kirk Cousins comes off the books. That extra money means they can go fill other roster holes through free agency instead of relying only on draft picks. That's not a bad trade-off. Now, of course, it's a gamble. If
Walker turns out to be just average, giving up a first rounder will sting. But if he becomes even close to a Micah Parsons or a Myles Garrett type impact player, then it's an absolute steal. And no, I'm not saying he is those guys, but if he gets even halfway there, it's a win. So look, love the Falcons or hate them, it finally seems like they're ready to get aggressive. And honestly, I respect that. You can't hit a home run unless you swing the bat. Sure, they might strike out. Maybe Jaylen Walker won't live up to the hype, but maybe, just maybe, he's the missing piece this defense has needed for years. Let me know in the comments. Are you in on this move? Or are you out? And hey, if you're digging the hat I'm wearing, it's called the Great Barrier Thief. Shout out to Dyson Daniels. Links in the description. Grab one before they sell out.